We've got Rasmus, Director of Football in the house. And listen, all you lot listening here, you know we've been having all sorts of XG chats. Some people are not happy with it. Ali Malali and Nick, Liberal Nick as well, and other people out there. And some people do understand it. And we've got Rasmus here, Rasmus Ankerson, Brentford's co-director of football, who is, first of all, Rasmus, you're obviously very happy with the result today.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a roller coaster, emotionally at least. And I think last time we had quite an experience like this was probably last season against Villa, wasn't it? When Mopé scored in the injury time. So now we were down with 2, so it was even better. But great win. I think the boys deserved it.
Interesting.
If there is something that's called deserved in football, but I know you're talking a lot about that. So
well, listen. I mean, we were talking about it in the first half. We had a lot of chances in your world, in the stats world, which you use as part of the things to analyse the game. You would say that in the first half we were looking like the XG was high as it is, and the chances that we were creating was high, but we just weren't putting them in the back of the net. And also, their goalkeeper was playing a bit of a blinder. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the first half, I think we look a lot at the underlying model rating. Which is a really important decision-making tool for us, and a way of, I would say, the primary way of measuring progress. And based on the first half, the model would upgrade us, give us a big upgrade. But we were down 1-0. But that's football, isn't it? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's a really random game. Much more random than basketball and handball and what have you, for many reasons. But that's why you need some tools. You need some fundamental ideas to base your decision making on, which has not only something to do with what's on the scoreline at the end of the game.
So I mean, the second half, they got the goal very late in the first half, which seems to knock the wind out of us. The second half, and let's just put layman's terms into it, we didn't look at the races at all for the most of that second half. I mean, what do you put that down to?
No, I think it was a little bit pedestrian at times. we moved the ball without creating clear-cut chances. I think it was a little bit of it was a bit of a shock for us to get down 2-0 at a penalty, which I think was a big maybe. But Millwall got a little bit tired in the end, and I think we also got a bit lucky with the deflection on the 2-2 goal. And but I think if you look at the game as a whole, there was a little bit of justice left in the world, I think.
Okay, well, you say that, but I'm going to say this as well, because as you talk about XG, and if people out there, XG expected goals is talking about created chances, and it's the quality of the chances that you create. So if you've got a ball which is 2 yards in front of the goal, and you got the chance to put it in the back of the net, that's a very high XG, as opposed to shooting the ball from 40 yards, which you might score still, but it's very low. And the chances are that if you create more chances with higher XG, you've got a better chance of scoring. Now, ironically, we were creating some great chances and not scoring, but the goal that we actually did score was probably one which has got a very low XG, which was De Silva's goal. Yeah. So, I mean, not being funny, doesn't that knock your XG theory out the window, or how does that work?
No, I mean that happens. I mean, it's for us, it's about creating obviously as many high probability scoring situations as possible, and prevent your opposition from doing it against us, and that is a better predictor of where you're gonna go in the future often than your current league table position. Because, I mean, this is the thing in football, everyone grown up hearing that the league table never lies, but the league table lies. But saying that in football is like saying the world is flat, The brain is not designed to deal with randomness and accept randomness and explanation for an outcome. So we want a narrative. So we cannot accept that it's very difficult for us as human beings to accept that in the first half we've smashed Millwall, but we're down 1-0. It has to be something with lack of confidence, or the manager has lost the dressing room, or things like that. So we build all these explanations, and I think our job is to try and keep focusing on what signal and what is noise, especially when you go on these bad runs, which you eventually do in such a close league as the Championship.
And I'm going to say this, and I know I've taken a lot of your time, but this is interesting chat. And what I will say is, look, I love a team, and everyone out there loves their team, and we want them to do really well. And yes, we are creating these chances, but Brentford still are not quite the Brentford like we were even last season. So even though we might be doing, inverted commas, the right things, there's just something out there that just isn't quite right about Brentford. And you must know that because you watch these games. You must talk about it week in, week out.
I think if you look at it from a defensive point of view, I think the Brentford team we have now is probably the best team we've had defensively, especially since I got involved here. I think we look very solid. We give very few chances away, which is a big plus for me because both you and I have watched the last couple of seasons. And I don't think we've felt more calm than we do now when the opposition has the ball, or because we think we look pretty solid. I agree that offensively it hasn't quite clicked. Is that down to a big turnover of players in the summer? That there's a relationship thing. That's gonna get better the better they get to know each other. Is it that we need to accept conceding a little bit more defensively in order to create something more offensively to create a better balance? That's some of life's big questions, but I don't think we are far off. I mean, I think to be a top championship side, you need to be very strong defensively throughout the 46 games, and I think we got a good foundation to grow from. And then it's up to us, it's up to the coaching staff to make sure that offensively it starts to click again, because that's probably where we still have a little bit of a way to go.
I'm going to ask one last question. I've kept a lot of your time, and I'll be killed if I don't ask this question for you. Obviously, in the season, we were last season we were absolutely on fire. We were scoring lots of goals. Neil Maupay, 28 goals last season. He went in the close season and we didn't manage to secure another striker for whatever reason. We've heard that there was a bit of malarkey with the striker that we wanted to bring in, so that didn't quite happen, and then we tried to bring in another striker, it didn't happen. But that's kind of left us a bit cold, and a lot of people are saying that this is the cause of the problem as to why we're not firing on the cylinders.
I don't know. I mean, we have the top scorer of the championship in the team, don't we? With Ollie Watkins, it's not that we, in that sense, I think lack a goal scorer. But obviously, it's very difficult to replace Neil Maupay, and we tried, but also, to bring someone in, it had to be, and pay a lot of money for that player. It would have to be someone who we thought would be an upgrade on what we already had in this team. For example, Ollie Watkins. And we think we were pretty comfortable with what we had. When we signed Neil Maupay, you also remember the first season Neil Maupay were here. He was not quite firing as he was in the second season. So it took him 12 months to get used to the championship and to start really performing for us and giving us some return on investment in terms of goals. And I think we were a little bit in a different position this season because we were not where we wanted to sign a striker that needed 12 months before he would start firing. If we were to sign a striker, it would have to be someone who would deliver from day one. And those guys are not easy to find. They're very expensive as well. And that's why I thought we were comfortable with what we had. And I think for me, it's not so much about if you have one guy scoring 25 goals. It's more, is the team as a whole able to produce chances and enough chances to achieve what we want to achieve, and I think this team has the potential to do that. Also, I mean, I think you remember when we a few years back when we sold Scott Hogan, who scored a big proportion of our goals. After we sold Scott Hogan to Villa, we started scoring more goals. So it's not so simple that to say that one Maupay goes, you take 27 goals out of the team. It's not how it works. It's we need to make sure that we have a team that's able to produce enough chances to achieve what we want to achieve, and I think we have that, and I think the team is going to get better. That said, I mean, it's not. I'm not going to sit here and rule out that's not a focus for us in the next couple of windows, because it's an important position. So let's see. I'm not so worried as maybe some of you guys are.
And Marcus Forss, is he coming home after Christmas?
Well, I say now. I mean, Nikos has got what looked like a pretty serious injury today. So we gotta do a scan in the next few days to see how serious it is. And but we'll see. I mean, a lot depends on where are we in January. Are we in a position where we're gonna make a push? Are we gonna make a season where we're gonna prepare for the next season? There's a lot of, and Marcus Forss is is obviously part of that conversation. So let's see. I mean, he hasn't played that many games for Wimbledon. It looks good so far, but let's see. There's still a few months and a lot of games to play.
Okay, listen, Rasmus. Thanks for taking your time out, man, and I'll catch you soon.
Okay, cheers. Okay.